Be a very interesting fight. I mean, I guess running it back makes sense. Post-fight reaction from Tom Aspinall. What the fuck you booing? I'm the one that got poked in the eye. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm not the one that poked him. I get it. You're frustrated. I don't think the fans weren't booing at Tom for not continuing. I don't think the fans are booing because, it sucks. It's the main event. You want to see a fight. But every time, like, a first reaction happens, a nut shot, an eye poke, you don't think it's, all right, it's going to get stopped. And when it does, it sucks. Oh, God, I remember when the Pedro fight got stopped. It was in the second round, and I was feeling like I was just getting started. And you just see those guys heartbreak in there, just not being able to compete and do what they love to do. They put all this work in.
Pete also shared his thoughts on the chaotic ending of the fight. He said the only upside to the situation is that the UFC doesn't have to immediately look for Tom Aspinall's next opponent. According to Pete, the top priority now should be setting up a rematch between Cyril Gane and Tom Aspinall. He also expressed concern for Tom, who was taken to the hospital with his eye still being treated after the injury.
I've been trying to think of a positive, to be honest with you, and the only thing I can come up with is that at least the UFC haven't got to find his next opponent, which was the narrative I thought we were going to have coming out of it. Victory over Cyril Gane, you kind of go, well, bloody hell, who's next? And Volkov won tonight and won quite convincingly, and were we going to be able to sell that rematch and everything else? But forget about everything else now. There's only one fight we can see, we need to see, and that's Cyril Gane, Tom Aspinall Part 2, because it was a disaster. I feel for everybody involved here, especially feel for Tom, who right now we know he's gone to hospital. We haven't had an update. We don't know what condition his eye is actually.
Then analyzed Gane's performance, praising his preparation and sharpness inside the octagon. He noted that Gane looked outstanding before the fight was stopped early. Pete highlighted Gane's excellent distance management, control, footwork, and composure, calling it one of the best opening rounds of Gane's career. Even though the fight ended in chaos, Pete said it was clear Gane's skills were on full display and the matchup was just beginning to unfold.
I don't know whether he's going to be able to fight again this year. Hopefully he can. And I also feel devastated for Cyril Gane. He spent 3 months out here in Dubai, just across the way, away from his family, away from his kids, preparing for this fight. And with all due respect to Tom, Cyril Gane looked phenomenal. One of the best opening rounds of Cyril Gane's career, in the biggest moments of his career. I thought he looked great. Everything he did in there, his distance control was really good. His footwork was good. That first round was pretty much in the bag for Cyril Gane. And it was just getting started. That's the most annoying thing. It was just bleeding getting started.
The MMA community continued to debate Tom Aspinall's controversial eye injury. The tone online shifted from sympathy to jokes and memes. Social media was soon flooded with reactions, and as always, Jon Jones couldn't resist jumping in. He updated his profile picture to one with an eye patch, a move that instantly went viral. At the same time, fans and analysts began discussing how Aspinall might stack up against legends like Jon Jones. Nick Barnhill broke down Tom's strengths, saying that while Aspinall's size, speed, and athleticism are impressive, facing a fighter like Jon Jones is an entirely different kind of challenge, one that demands more than just physical gifts.
Unfortunate, because I like Tom. I think he's a great fighter. Now, Tom himself has been asked many times, are you better than Jon Jones? There's one interview in particular where he says, no, I'm not better than Jon at anything in MMA, but I'm younger, I'm bigger, I'm athletic, I'm faster than most every heavyweight, and I hit hard. So I think I'm a bad matchup for Jon. And I believe that convinced the entire world that Jon Jones doesn't have a chance against Tom Aspinall. Now looking at it, I don't think you can go into a fight with a guy like Jon Jones and base it off of pure athleticism, because guess what? Jon's pretty athletic himself.
I mean, rest in peace to his brother, but Jon Jones's whole family.
He's the least athletic he's the least athletic Jones brother,
right? Yeah,
which is insane. But what we saw him do to Cyril Gane was insane. It looked like Cyril didn't belong. Cyril belonged in the cage with Tom Aspinall, and that's why I think it's important that they do run this fight back.
After UFC 321, talk about potential matchups heated up. Fans and fighters started speculating about who could be next for Jon Jones. Among the top names was Alex Pereira, who respectfully called Jones out. Jon quickly responded on social media, signaling that he's ready for high-level competition. His tweet read, "Alex, I'd be down to bring the highest skill level to the White House. I appreciate the respect you showed. Let's dance." The heavyweight division is now buzzing with excitement. Analysts, including MMA Guru, pointed out that the real intrigue lies in who chooses to face whom. He mentioned that Pereira seems focused only on moving up to fight Jon Jones while avoiding other heavyweights, like Tom Aspinall, something that adds even more tension and drama to the division.
And that's what creates excitement. That's what brings the intrigue. And that's what's going to generate a bit more hype in the heavyweight division. Pereira doesn't want to move up unless it's to fight Jon. He didn't want to fight Tom. So this is a situation we have a heavyweight where it was...
After UFC 321, Stefan Barnhill Jr. discussed the possibility of a blockbuster fight between Jon Jones and Alex Pereira. He suggested that the UFC might even create a new belt or use the heavyweight title to make this dream matchup happen. Barnhill said that such a fight could determine who the true GOAT of MMA really is, considering both fighters' incredible records and skill sets.
Just like remove the White House out of the equation for the minute. So one thing that kind of is obvious to me is that the UFC wants to make the Alex Pereira versus Jon Jones fight.
Right.
So whether that's for the heavyweight belt, whether that's not, whether they create a 225-pound division that they go and contend for that belt.
Or the least likely, Jon goes back to 205.
Or the least likely, yes, because you have three potential belts that they could contend for. The heavyweight belt, if you make a new division, you have that belt and the inaugural champion. And then you have 205, which I think is unlikely.
Yeah.
But, I mean, look, the UFC created a belt for Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal.
Right.
They don't put it past the UFC, and I'm not saying that's what they should do.
Barnhill added that the UFC could even introduce a special GOAT belt for Jones, vice Pereira, because of how massive the fight would be. He explained Alex has already beaten multiple champions and is well on his way to being considered one of the greatest. Meanwhile, fighters like Tom Aspinall and Cyril Gane continue focusing on their own battles, but if the timing works, the UFC could easily turn this into one of the biggest main events ever.
I'm like, I like the BMF belt, but I think we can get to a point where we're getting absurd with things. But, you know, who's to say the UFC wouldn't create the GOAT belt? Because, you know, if Jon were to fight Alex Pereira, I think a lot of people would probably say that the winner of that fight would kind of be the undisputed greatest fighter of all time.
Yeah, even in Alex's short career.
Exactly. In Alex's short career, if he can beat that many champions, including the champion that a lot of people think is the best ever, you know, it's hard to say he's not the GOAT. So to me, I almost feel like they can kind of operate independent of each other. You know, Tom and Cyril, they have business. They have to turn that around. Right. If it all times up perfectly that they can make it for the White House card, that's phenomenal.
Heavyweight division is on fire right now. Jon Jones' fiery social media jab at Tom Aspinall has reignited talk of his comeback and stirred up hype for potential mega fights with stars like Alex Pereira. The UFC is under pressure to act quickly, balancing fan excitement, fighter readiness, and scheduling. With IPO controversies, rematch talk, and the possibility of a GOAT level showdown, the division has never been this unpredictable. Tom Aspinall's recovery and Cyril Gane's elite form guarantee thrilling matchups ahead, while Jon Jones' return, combined with rumors of special belts, keeps fans on the edge of their seats. So, what do you think will happen first? Jon Jones versus Alex Pereira, or a rematch between Tom Aspinall and Cyril Gane? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more UFC updates and fight breakdowns.